Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are embarking on a truly wild ride into some of the deepest ancient mysteries and, really, the ultimate future of our species. We're going to unpack a fascinating synthesis of work by researcher and author Gregg Braden. By weaving together historical texts, biological anomalies, and rapidly converging technologies, Braden paints a picture of a human race standing at the absolute most critical crossroads in its entire history. So the big question is, are we just biological machines, or were we gifted something far more profound at the exact moment of our creation? Okay, let's quickly look at our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 5 key areas: ancient texts and hidden truths, the mystery of human origins, the battle for pure humanity, the kingdom is within, and finally, the lost mode of prayer. All right, diving right into section 1, ancient texts and hidden truths. To really grasp where humanity is heading, the source material suggests we first have to understand how radically our view of history was flipped on its head just over a century ago. You see, for nearly 2 millennia, the mainstream narrative of human spirituality was defined by a very specific, heavily edited, canonized set of scriptures. But then, look at what happens right at the dawn of the modern era. Out of nowhere, in 1896, the Gospel of Mary emerges in Cairo. Then, in the 1930s, boom, more copies of her gospel turn up. By 1945, the massive Nag Hammadi Gnostic library is unearthed in Egypt, and just 2 years later, the Dead Sea Scrolls are discovered. Penned by ancient groups like the Essenes and the Gnostics, these texts were completely buried for centuries before suddenly bursting back onto the scene, revealing entirely different, mind-blowing perspectives on human potential. But even with all these discoveries, there are still massive, gaping holes in our historical knowledge. 23. According to Braden, there are currently 23 ancient languages discovered on Earth that even our most advanced artificial intelligence absolutely cannot translate today. Just think about that for a second. Our ancestors left us these totally intact legacies, entire blueprints of knowledge, and yet we still have these vast mysteries sitting right in front of us completely unsolved. That brings us to section 2, the mystery of human origins. Braden starts connecting the dots between what those long-lost texts were trying to tell us and a really profound biological mystery surrounding our actual creation. Mainstream science generally agrees that anatomically modern humans just sort of suddenly appeared on Earth about 200,000 years ago. But here's the thing. Braden points out a major evolutionary hiccup. When we reverse engineer the human genome, we find mutations that simply cannot happen in nature without some form of outside intelligent intervention. We basically gained biological capabilities that completely defy standard Darwinian evolution. To explain this intervention, Braden actually looks to modern science. He cites proceedings from a journal of soft computing that literally defines human DNA as a 3-dimensional fractal antenna. How cool is that? This biological antenna is tuned to a broad spectrum of frequency, essentially hardwiring the human heart and brain to a field of information that isn't limited by standard physics like time and space. Braden uses this scientific framework to back up an ancient Gnostic claim: the idea that we were quite literally engineered with a biological link to a higher, unseen domain. And when you put these diverse ancient records side by side, it's wild how beautifully they align. Take the biblical account in Genesis, which simply states, God created man. Now compare that to the Mesopotamian Enuma Elish, which claims intelligent beings combined their own essence with the Earth's elements. And then you have the Gnostic texts, arguing that while we exist in this dense material realm, humanity was infused with a unique divine spark that directly links us back to pure light. Across wildly different cultures and eras, we're seeing the exact same core narrative. Some kind of intelligent intervention gave humanity a totally unique, incredibly powerful potential. Moving on to section 3, the battle for pure humanity. According to the source material, this ancient genetic divine spark is currently under a massive existential threat. To really understand what's at stake here, we have to look at the sharp contrast Braden draws between evolution and devolution. He defines true evolution as humanity naturally gaining capabilities through our biology over time. But he argues that what we are seeing pushed today is actually devolution, the drive to merge human biology with machines. The danger is that by relying on synthetics and technology inside the body, our natural, deeply encoded biological abilities essentially get outsourced and they begin to atrophy and fade. Braden calls this the transhumanist threat. He points to specific, very real technologies that are attempting to replace our natural human empathy and our biological divinity. We're talking about nanotechnology embedded in bodies and even trickling into our food supply. We are seeing humans voluntarily embedding RFID chips under their skin just to start their cars or buy groceries. There's even a push toward artificial wombs, aiming to replace the profound biological connection of natural conception. Braden warns that this technological replacement actively represses that incredible divine spark we were gifted 200,000 years ago. So you might be wondering, how did the ancients deal with threats to their pure humanity? Well, they used codes. Listen to this incredibly powerful quote from the Gospel of Mary. "I am not your child, but you are my illusion." The source material suggests this specific phrase was actually taught by Jesus as a literal, practical mechanism to disarm dark or manipulative forces. By stating this out loud, you essentially revoke their perceived authority. It's an absolute assertion of human sovereignty, declaring that outside forces only have power over us when we subconsciously grant it to them. This perfectly sets up Section 4. The kingdom is within. We've talked a lot about the threat, but what are the ancient solutions to this whole existential problem? When we compare historical viewpoints on this, a really stark contrast emerges. The traditional Orthodox Church view teaches that humanity is inherently in need of redemption, and that heaven is a place we hopefully go to after we die, as long as we follow certain rules and rituals. But the Gnostic view, found in those texts hidden away in the desert, argues the exact opposite. They taught that we must resurrect during our actual life. Why? Because the kingdom of heaven isn't some faraway destination. It's a dormant reality that already exists deep within our own biology. The crucial point here is captured perfectly in a really striking warning from the Gospel of Thomas. It says, "If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." Braden views this as the ultimate warning for our time, because our internal biological power, that fractal antenna we talked about, is so immensely strong, it demands to be expressed. If we don't find a conscious, healthy way to express that inner spark, that very same unexpressed power will basically turn inward, causing sickness, anxiety, and destruction in our lives. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, the lost mode of prayer. So, if we literally have this incredible quantum antenna inside us, how do we actually turn it on? Braden, leaning heavily into his background as a computer scientist, offers a completely fascinating mapping of ancient prayer. He notes that writing computer code requires 3 structural steps: a declaration to say "I am here," the actual function or the work to be done, and a closure to seal the program. Amazingly, Braden maps the original Aramaic Lord's Prayer perfectly onto these exact 3 steps. It is, in essence, an ancient programmatic code specifically designed to communicate directly with the quantum field. But there is a massive catch in how we execute this ancient code. We must give thanks for what is already there, rather than asking for it to happen. In this quantum model, the universe simply acts as a mirror, reflecting back exactly what you present to it. If you ask or beg for something to happen, it acts as a prayer of supplication. You are accidentally programming the universe with a feeling of lack. You're basically communicating to the field that you don't have what you need, so the field just gives you more of that missing feeling. Let's see how this actually works in a real-world scenario. Braden shares this absolutely captivating story of an indigenous elder in New Mexico during a severe drought. Instead of looking up and begging the sky for rain, he followed these 3 ancient steps. He vividly imagined all the sensory details. He literally felt his naked feet in a squishy mud and smelled the damp earth coming off the Pueblo walls. He felt the pure emotion of the outcome, and he gave thanks for the rain as if it was already happening right then and there. He programmed the field with the actual presence of rain, not the lack of it. Which brings us right to the ultimate crossroads of our time. As the push for transhumanism accelerates and attempts to replace our natural biology, we face a profoundly urgent choice. Will we just surrender our ancient divine spark to synthetic machines? Or will we finally remember who we are and awaken the immense power hidden right inside our own DNA? It's a spectacular question about the future of human evolution, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer to explore this remarkable synthesis of our ancient past and our immediate future. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you next time.